Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I have another great topic today to discuss, and it's the so called fiance visa. So, if you would like to get married, and a lot of questions came up to that topic, but also I realized it's a really hot topic because a lot of people basically said, like, well, wait a minute, if somebody would like to move to the United States and he's just trying to marry somebody, then this is kind of like on the cliff or on the edge of, being truthful or whatever. So I want to say something here upfront, very clear, absolutely very clear. I personally have a very good friend, and that happened to him. He was actually he was immigrating from Pakistan, and uh, got married to a woman. He was falling in love and was super happy and whatever, was getting married to an American woman. But unfortunately, somehow, there's a culture difference, but not just that, relationships, nobody has a guarantee if a relationship will work out or not. I mean, most likely you already know, and it doesn't matter if you're bloody young or you are like in your best years like I am. Shit. Okay, sorry, like anyways, but fact is that it's basically like I could not say, and I would never say something like this, that this is not a legitimate case, or this is not the right way to do it, because look, fact is, it can happen to everyone. Anybody can fall in love with someone, and if you feel like you would like to plan your life with somebody here in the United States, and you both are ready to get married, then absolutely the K1 visa, which is the category for this, the so-called fiance visa, is definitely an option. And I also wanted to point out something. In a lot of cases, what's happening is, and you have to think this through. That's what I especially tell super young immigrants. Like super young is like really like just finished your apprenticeship, you have a couple of years of work experience, you're probably in your 20s or whatever, and you might even come over as a student with an F visa, whatever your idea is, as a trainee, as an au pair. Things can happen basically in a natural way, and that's how it is. And what I want you to think about it doesn't matter what visa category you have and for what purpose you're coming, as a trainee, for a full-time job, with an H visa, with a J visa, whatever, right? Au pair, training student, it really doesn't matter. Fact is, you have to think this through. What is going to happen? Well, I mean, I think if you're single, uh, even of course if you're married, but hopefully, you're not going to cheat on your husband or on your wife or whatever. But fact is, when you are single and you are coming to the United States, what will happen? Think this through. I mean, it's crystal clear. You are going to meet Americans. You are going to meet people who work and live in the United States. You're socializing with them. You're going out. You're having parties. You network, whatever it will be. And even if you go to the grocery store, you go to a sports event, or you do bowling, or uh, go to the gym, wherever you live, you can imagine you are going to meet people from the United States. Well, so it's definitely clear that if you would fall in love with somebody, then it's not that person somewhere back in, like in my case, in Austria or in Germany or wherever from where you are. If it's Japan, if it's India, if it's New Zealand, if it's the UK, if it's Australia, it really doesn't matter from what specific location. But when you think this through, then it becomes very clear that the chances you have to meet people, to date someone, etc., it's most likely that you meet somebody here in the United States. And then, of course, either that person has already, the U.S. citizenship, or has already a green card, a permanent residency, etc., etc. And then, boom, if it sparks and there is a match and you kind of really fall in love and you like each other, well, then what is wrong about it, right? So there is nothing wrong about it. But of course, I do understand people here also criticizing other people and say, like, well, you just want to get a green card or whatever. But look, so it could be the opposite way from whatever nationality you have. You could say if you're like in the European Union, like I'm from, I could always say, well, like if we would get married, you get the blue card, right? So it honestly, uh, I only can tell you something like this. Look, if you truly fall in love with someone and you're serious about it, then absolutely go for it. And I can tell you and testify that the so-called fiance visa is actually a way to obtain, um, yeah, I would say like permanent residency and then later on, of course, citizenship in a way where it goes easier. It's not as complex and complicated. But what I also encourage you and tell everybody, you should definitely not marry someone you don't love and you really just want to get married because of a visa situation or because you want to work and live in the United States. Because, I mean, that's something what you have to deal with your own consciousness, of course, and figure out. But, I personally think that is completely foolish. It's also completely stupid because fact is you need to get married. Uh, Now, you know, on from by law, from a legal status, if you build wealth, if you have finances or whatever, all this stuff is kind of like getting together and united. Even if you would consider, of course, like prenups, etc. Yes, that's a way where you can divide things, etc. But still, you have to understand what process you go through, and even after, if it wouldn't work out, if you would get divorced, etc., what a painful process that will be. And if for me, for example, of course, like I was married for like 18 years and etc. But for me, that would have been never an option, never ever, because I said, look, like either I really truly fall in love, and then if I wouldn't have had my own permanent residency or my own visa or my own working authorization, uh, in that I still would not consider, I would never have considered it if I wouldn't truly love a woman and if I really wanted to marry that woman. Um, so all I can tell you that you have, of course, to evaluate those two things. You have to understand that, be honest to yourself, be be absolutely clear about it, what you're getting into if you're going to do this. But if you're truly in love with someone, and this is really what I would like to underline, and I definitely would like to say is, if you are truly in love with someone, you have your pink glasses on and everything is great and everything feels amazing, well, why should you not do that, right? I mean, if you have the plans to get married, etc., then go for it. Of course, I will also post a link underneath this video where you can find out a little bit more about the process of the so-called K1 fiance visa. It's also fact, of course, that it's crystal clear that only the American citizen, doesn't matter if it's a he or if it's a she or whatever, can also be a transgender these days. It doesn't really matter by gender, but the American citizen, if it's a neutral gender, so to speak, right, has to file, so to speak, the K1 visa, which is the fiance visa. And it's a similar process, of course, like if you would file for any other visa, the fiance would be still basically in the country of its origin. And then once the papers are filed and the application process was ignited or initiated, and then everything starts, okay, then the fiance gets an invitation to the US Embassy where you have an interview. And in this interview, you have to ask, of course, you have to answer, not ask, but you have to answer a bunch of questions, etc. And also, for this, I wanted to let you know a good friend of mine went through this whole process, and I have to say, like, his first marriage didn't work out, but he got divorced, etc. But later on, he was really falling in love with a woman from Colombia. He obtained, for instance, the U.S. green card or like the permanent residency and they got married. They're happily married. They have a wonderful kid. I'm so happy for them. Like, because I truly know it can happen, you know. And what I always say is like when people are very aggressive and they talk immediately some BS about other people or whatever, I just tell you like show some maybe more respect before you do that. Be grateful. Gratitude is very, very important. Be very thankful for what you have, what you can get, etc. Because I think um, that's just how it should be, you know. And I also wanted to say something that I learned over the years, and I'm so grateful for this, honestly, like, and thankful what the United States offered me. It was not just that I got here much better job opportunities, that I have seen a lot in the United States. I learned a lot, right? But I also feel, and that made me probably the richest person today. And I'm not talking about the money. I'm talking about that I learned to appreciate things. I learned to obtain actually much more open mindset. I, if it would be me, I'm telling you honestly, like, because for me it was always such a pain, and I still don't understand this, of course, like to think about like, oh, there is one country and they have their rules and their policies, and then there's the next country, and if you would like to live somewhere else, it's such a painful process, because just because you have been growing up in a different region on this planet, right? Then you cannot live in this specific country, or it's going to be really tough. I mean, what determines that? Because my philosophy is, anyways, I strongly believe that we are world citizens. World citizens. What I believe is, hopefully, that all our political countries or whatever, one day in 50 years, hopefully already, will make a huge shift and a transformation, and they will say, you know what, it doesn't matter where you have been born, it doesn't matter what color you have, it doesn't matter what language you speak. If you would like to move to that continent, if you would like to live in that area, in that city, look, as long as you can make a living, as long as you follow the global rules, as long as you have a job, if you fall in love with someone, if you care for your family and anything else, and you're a great human being, why should you not be able to work and live there? You know, that always blew my mind in general. But I know that a lot of people laughed about me always. Like I was not even an adult. I was like a kid. I was like a teenager, and always spoke about it and said like, I don't understand this, you know. Because if I would like to live in Asia, if I would like to move to New Zealand or to Australia, or like maybe you are from somewhere else and you would like to be in Europe or in the United States or in Brazil or whatever, what did we do? And it's 2021 at this point when I'm recording the video, and it looks like our human civilization is still not so far, and we are all like so restrictive, like, oh, this is our country, and here is a border, and only those people are accepted, and whatever. And you know, um, I don't know. Maybe I'm still a dreamer, because, but it brought me very far. I have to say so, as a dreamer, and I'm very proud of that. Um, because I always say like I still don't understand that countries are in war. I still don't understand where people are being killed for resources, for BS, for absolute nonsense. And I get it. As older I get, and people always laughed about me, but still laugh about me today when I say like, is it so? Is it really such a big problem to live in peace? I mean, is it really such a big problem to show love, gratitude, being thankful, appreciate everybody? Because look, we are all on this planet together. We are all together in this here. And when people always this always blow my mind, say like, look, we are having a pandemic and we're all in this together. Yeah, it's not just a pandemic. Wake up. You know, I just tell people we all live here together, and we will make so much more progress, and our life will be so much better if we help each other and don't fight each other, you know? like how grateful I am if I know that young students want to come to the United States or in any other country. They want to learn something, they want to contribute. And let's say they become the next generation awesome doctors or inventors. They make new studies or whatever. They help us long term. They will help our generation or our children in near future. And that always blows my mind also, of course, with the education system and so on. And so as you can hear me talking about this, I'm a very free spirit, and I truly believe in that. That is kind of like my philosophy and my culture. So, and that's why I also believe in the K1 visa, of course, and in falling in love with someone, because that's the most natural thing that can happen. And of course, nobody has a crystal ball, right? We all know that. We don't know. You fall in love with someone, but a relationship might not work out because of multiple issues. I mean, we all have been there. It's always like that. But anyways, so what I want to encourage you is definitely saying, look, also if you're planning to move to the United States, it doesn't matter what visa you have, work visa, student visa, au pair, H1B, whatever category, it really doesn't matter. And you're solo, even if you are in a relationship, it can happen that that's the most likely, of course, that you meet someone else, and if you're solo, of course, that you're starting dating somebody who is from the US. And if that's the case, and if you fall in love, then there is nothing wrong about it. But again, to repeat myself, and to be also clear about it, don't do the mistake. Don't abuse anything. You will regret it. Don't do it purposely, like saying, oh, I don't love this person, but I just want to get married because I want to obtain visa status or permanent residency. This would be a big, big mistake, and I would never, ever recommend you doing this. Besides that, if you would really do it, that's also fraud. You would break the law. If something would blow up at any point, you are done, because then they will enter your name into the system, and once you arrive somewhere at the border, you cannot re-enter the United States ever again. So that being said, I will post, of course, more information about that, where you can find out a little bit more from the K1 visa. I also want to encourage you and let you know, always when you look for procedures, how they really work, look at the official government websites. Don't look at any other private websites. Those are like, not 100%. They can have mistakes on it, on basically by accident, or they're missing on some information that might not be then very clear for you. So I can encourage you, just if you look for some information, always consider to use the official government websites, because there is everything on it that's also up to date and that is legitimate, and everything else you just don't know. Okay. So that being said, I hope it was a little bit helpful for you, and it was also encouraging. I think also a good point is that even if you don't think to get married yet, it might happen if you just initiate something, if you just go for a year or 1.5 years to the US, and after 3 or 6 months you get to know someone, because like I said, it's a natural process. And so you never know how things will go if you trigger something, how your future will be. But all I can encourage you is, don't listen again to the naysayers. Don't listen to people who basically want to bring you down. They want to tell you like, oh, you cannot do this or you cannot do that. Fade them all out, because that's them. But your life is your life, and you are in charge of your life. And if you feel you would like to move to the United States, you would like to change that, then you can definitely do it. Of course, so far, if you don't know who I am, my name is Bernard Ryder. I'm an immigrant from, basically, as you can hear my accent, I was born in beautiful Austria and moved to the United States. And I moved with my entire family back then with 3 little kids as a graphic designer in a very quick and short time. And if you also would like to know more how that can be done, then of course go to my website, gousa.life, gousa.life. You will also find a more in-depth webinar in which I'm telling you and explaining like how it was possible for me to move to the United States in a very short period of time. And yes, I hope that will help you as well. So check out the website, and you find on my website also then my podcast, where you can subscribe on multiple platforms, whatever you prefer, either on Android or iPhone or wherever, whatever. Okay. So that being said, I wish you again also all the best for moving to the United States, planning it, uh, doing anything that moves the needle and brings you forward, and follow your dream. And that being said, I hope to see you in my next video and also in my next podcast, etc. And I wish you already all the best, and stay healthy and stay happy. Take care and talk to you later. Bye bye.